Fandom, how's it going? It's your boy Hardcover, and today we're going to be taking a look at Mark Waid's legendary run on The Man Without Fear, and we're going to see if it does him any justice. So, let's get into it. Mark Waid is a guy that's been in the industry for about 20 to 30 years, and if you want to talk about legends, this is one of those guys. He is a monster in the industry for very good reason. The guy's written everything from Flash to Fantastic Four and his monumental magnum opus that some people say hasn't even been topped yet, Kingdom Come. While those books are great, they're neither here nor there because what Mark Waid did in 2011 was he really reinvigorated a character that had been kicked down a dark alley and beaten to a pulp. What do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty much no secret that the character of Daredevil has been the whipping boy of the Marvel Universe for like the past 30 years. You've got writers like Frank Miller, Brian Michael Bendis, and Ed Brubaker who took the character in a very dark and very rough place. And then you've got the mini event called Shadowland, which for the most part is best if you just avoid it altogether. So Mark Waid decided, look, you can only have a character that's depressed and beaten down so much until they've got two options. Either they can wallow in it, or they can pick themselves up and accept the fact that they've got a depression problem and that they can move on. It's here that Mark Waid shows his biggest contribution to the character because he brings him into the limelight, he brings him into the spotlight, and he gets him out of that deep, dark depression pit. Even though a lot of those elements are still there and they're still very much a part of the character, he brings back a lot of the fun of the Silver Age original Daredevil. I mean, in the first few issues alone, he's got Daredevil as this kind of swashbuckling character who he kisses a mob boss's wife, and then a few issues later, he's fighting against Hydra, AIM, and all these other different evil corporations that are in the Marvel Universe. Not only is Mark Waid able to reinvigorate the character of Matt Murdock, he's also able to, in a sense, reinvigorate a lot of his villains, including the Mole Man and the Spot. The Spot in this is genuinely a very terrifying villain, especially when he uses his powers in a very unique and interesting way that I haven't seen before. As the story goes on, Matt Murdock soon finds out that one of his greatest villains has come back and is trying to systematically break him down. Now, what I really find fascinating about this villain is that when you do see the state that the villain is in, you can't help but just go, holy crap! I think the greatest strength of this run is the fact that Mark Waid actually embraces Daredevil's past. He doesn't try to rewrite anything, he doesn't try to retcon anything, and he doesn't try to make an excuse for what happened to Matt Murdock in the past. It is what it is, and Matt Murdock is ready to move on, and those elements play a huge role as the series goes on. I mentioned earlier on that Daredevil really deals with depression issues, and what's great about Mark Waid is that he's able to incorporate those elements in a relatable way. If you are somebody that has struggled with depression your entire life, or even recently you've gone through a depression spell, this is a story that it will hit you really hard. There's an arc in here involving the Purple Man and certain kids that is absolutely brilliant, and Mark Waid uses this time to examine what it feels like to be in depression. He gives you an explanation of it as best as he can, how sometimes it feels like you're just circling in a hole and you don't know which way you can go, and you can only either go down or you can keep pushing and keep going up. My favorite moment in this, though, has to be the introduction of this character called Ikari. Ikari is, simply put, badass. The guy is a monster when he fights Daredevil. It's incredible how well he's able to go toe-to-toe with Daredevil, mainly because of the fact that he's hired by somebody that has a connection to Daredevil and in some ways has Daredevil's same abilities. Story-wise, if there's a weak point to this run, I have to say it's probably when Matt Murdock decides to go to San Francisco. It's not that the story gets terrible or it just gets downright unreadable, it's just that it's not as strong as the first 2/3 of this run. You see, upon moving to San Francisco, Matt Murdock decides to embrace the identity that he's Daredevil, and he's pretty much open about it to the point where he's wearing a red suit and fighting crime all around the city. Let's talk about the art in this. Paulo Rivera, Marcos Martin, Emma Rios, you are talking about some of the best in the industry. These are guys that are at the top of their game right now, that they are loved by comic fans everywhere, and they kick ass on every single page that they are on. However, the majority of the grunt work is given to Chris Samnee. Now, Chris Samnee is an artist that has been in the industry for quite some time, and you've probably never taken notice of him until this run started. Chris Samnee's art has a lot of elements of Darwyn Cooke and Bruce Timm and a lot of Batman the Animated Series style, mostly because Chris Samnee worked as a storyboard artist for a long time, so it makes sense that his style is very cartoony. I love the way that Chris Samnee is able to draw Daredevil's powers and how he's able to show you what Daredevil sees by using these weird little lines to kind of emphasize that, yeah, this guy can kind of see, but he kind of can't. He has this radar sense that it's good, but it's not 100% sight. The action scenes in here are absolutely stunning. There are some moments in here that just left my jaw on the floor watching how well he's able to choreograph all these different movements and how well he's able to incorporate Daredevil's acrobatics into the panels. The Daredevil run by Mark Waid and Chris Samney is a perfect example of what happens when you take a great writer and a great artist and they're at the top of their game and you mesh them together. We've seen a few examples of this throughout the years, the Stan Lees and the Jack Kirbys, the Scott Snyders, the Greg Capullos, etc., etc. This is another one of those times. The fact is that Mark Waid was really able to reinvigorate the character by bringing in some of the Silver Age elements that a lot of us had forgotten about, that swashbuckling, fun, adventure-seeking side of Matt Murdock, while acknowledging the fact that Matt Murdock kind of has depression issues, and he's got a lot of things in his past, and he's got a lot of skulls that he has to deal with. It's the fact that Mark Waid is able to really introduce all of these elements into a really strong story that really makes this run one of the best that I've read in probably the last 5 years. It's absolutely great, and if you are a person that's trying to get into Daredevil and you're not somebody that really wants a dark story, you want something a little bit lighter, this is the perfect place to start. I rate my books on a pass, borrow, buy scale, and I'm giving this one a buy. I really recommend you check this one out. It's absolutely fun, and if you are somebody, like I've already said, that really has a passing interest on the character, this is a great place to start. There you have it, my review for Mark Waid's Daredevil run. I know a lot of you guys have wanted me to do it for a while. I know a lot of you have said you should probably read it because of the fact that you have dealt with depression issues in your past. I have read it. It's absolutely great. It's absolutely brilliant, and I love the fact that Mark Waid is able to touch on those issues. As somebody who has dealt with depression their whole life, I can relate to it on a much more personal level. If this is your first time checking out my channel, I do weekly reviews of trade paperbacks, hardcovers, special editions, omnibuses, absolutes. I do trailer reactions. I do some skits sometimes. Check out some of my other videos. Please check some of that stuff out. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter and all those other great social media websites down there in the description. And if you want to help out and you want to get some cool exclusive videos, you can follow me on Patreon. That's going to be found as well in the description below. We're almost at the $100 mark. We hit the $100 mark, and I will be doing a monthly raffle for my Patreon subscribers where all you have to do is pledge $1 to get into it, and you will get a cool hardcover trade paperback. Thanks for checking this out, guys. Love you so much. Have a great week. Bye.